Johnny Carson owned late-night television for 30 years. Every night, America saw the smooth smile, the sharp jokes, and the man who always seemed in control. But once the cameras went dark, the story changed. Behind that famous desk were 4 marriages, costly divorces, whispered affairs, bitter feuds, family wounds, and a private side few people could ever reach. Some called him charming. Others remembered a colder man who could shut people out for good. And the people closest to him knew the biggest laughs often hid the deepest cracks. So what was Johnny really protecting all those years? Join us as we uncover the rise, romances, betrayals, heartbreaks, scandals, and hidden truths that made Johnny Carson far more complicated than America ever knew. The young magician who learned to control a crowd. John William Carson was born on October 23, 1925, in Corning, Iowa. His mother was Ruth Elizabeth Carson, and his father, Homer Lloyd Kit Carson, managed a power company. Johnny was the family's middle child. He had an older sister and a younger brother named Richard, better known as Dick. The family moved through several Iowa towns, including Avoca, Clarinda, and Red Oak, before settling in Norfolk, Nebraska, when Johnny was 8. There, his gift for entertaining began to grow. At 12, he found a book about magic at a friend's house and ordered a magician's kit through the mail. Soon, nobody in the family could escape his card tricks. He followed them around saying, "Pick a card, any card." His mother made him a cape, and by 14 he was performing as the Great Carsoni. His first public show was for the local Kiwanis Club, and he earned $3 for each appearance. After high school, he hitchhiked to Hollywood. One disputed story claimed he was fined $50 for impersonating a midshipman. His real military life began on June 8, 1943, when he joined the United States Navy. He trained through the V-12 program at Columbia University and Millsaps College, then became an ensign late in the war. He was sent to the USS Pennsylvania in the Pacific and arrived on August 14, 1945, the day Japan announced its surrender. The ship had recently been damaged by a torpedo attack. While it was in dry dock, Johnny worked in damage control and supervised the removal of the bodies and belongings of 20 servicemen. Years later, he called it an awful experience. He later commanded a troop train, decoded messages in Guam, boxed in amateur bouts aboard ship, and performed a card trick for Navy Secretary James Forrestal. When Forrestal asked about his future, Johnny said he wanted to become a magician. Proving he could amuse such a serious man gave him an early sign that entertaining might become more than a childhood game. Johnny Carson's long road to the big time. After leaving the Navy, Johnny entered the University of Nebraska. He joined Phi Gamma Delta and kept performing magic, now earning $25 for each appearance. He first studied journalism to become a comedy writer, but soon switched to speech and drama for radio. His thesis, How to Write Comedy for Radio, used taped jokes and sketches while Johnny explained why each bit worked. It helped him finish college in 3 years. In 1949, he graduated with a degree in radio and speech and a minor in physics. His broadcasting career began the next year at WOW Radio and Television in Omaha. He soon hosted a morning show called The Squirrel's Nest. One routine had him interview pigeons on the courthouse roof about political corruption they had supposedly witnessed. To earn extra money, he hosted church dinners attended by some local leaders he had mocked. Strangely, one joke helped open his next door. The wife of a political figure he spoofed owned stock in a Los Angeles station. In 1951, she referred Johnny to her brother, who had influence in Southern California television. Johnny joined KNXT and created the low-budget sketch program Carson's Cellar. Red Skelton liked it and hired him as a writer in 1953. The next year, Skelton knocked himself unconscious during rehearsal an hour before a live broadcast. Johnny stepped in and carried the show. Jack Benny later invited him onto his program. Johnny copied Benny's gestures and joked that Benny had copied him, while Benny predicted he would become a successful comedian. Not every attempt worked. Johnny hosted Earn Your Vacation and the primetime Johnny Carson Show, but the second program failed. He moved to New York to host ABC's Who Do You Trust? From 1957 to 1962. There, he met Ed McMahon, his future partner. Johnny feared daytime television might hurt his career, yet the show became a hit. It let him interview guests freely and joke without a strict script. His quick thinking made him one of daytime television's hottest names, and NBC soon arrived with a much bigger offer that would change everything. Johnny said no before America said yes. NBC's Tonight began in 1954 with Steve Allen and became a major hit under Jack Paar. When Paar left in 1962, NBC wanted Johnny Carson to replace him. Johnny refused at first. He feared having to interview celebrities for 105 minutes every weekday and doubted he could handle the pressure. Several other stars also turned the job down, but NBC kept pushing until Johnny signed in February 1962. Because he still had 6 months left on his ABC contract, guest hosts filled in until he officially took over on October 1st. The first year was difficult, but Johnny slowly found the style that made him different. Ed McMahon joined him from Who Do You Trust and opened each show with, "Here's Johnny!" The program mixed monologues, sketches, interviews, and music, while Johnny's phantom golf swing became one of his trademarks. Paul Anka's theme song stayed with the show until Johnny's final broadcast in 1992. His real gift was turning weak moments into comedy. If a joke failed, he might dance to Tea for Two or pull the microphone close and announce, "Attention Kmart shoppers, clean up in aisle 4. He never looked rattled. Director Billy Wilder praised Johnny for arriving prepared, making every guest interesting and making rehearsed material feel natural. Viewers saw an easygoing host, but that relaxed style came from sharp timing, discipline, and control. Night after night, he made millions feel as though they were sitting in the room with him. The Tonight Show soon became a national habit, and America now had the late-night king it wanted. Fame, fortune, and Johnny's growing power. The Tonight Show began at NBC's headquarters in New York, but on May 1st, 1972, production moved to Burbank, California. The move brought famous guests closer and placed Johnny near the center of Hollywood power. By then, he could shape careers with one good interview or one approving laugh. The show was taped in the late afternoon and sent across the country. Johnny's schedule changed as his value rose. By the middle of the 1970s, he was television's highest-paid personality, earning about $4 million yearly before nightclub work and other businesses. In 1979, he announced that he planned to leave after 17 years. Analysts believed the program produced about 17% of NBC's pre-tax profits, so the network had a strong reason to keep him. A new 1980 deal shortened the show from 90 minutes to 60 and reduced his workload. Guest hosts began taking Mondays while Johnny handled fewer nights. Joan Rivers became the permanent guest host from 1983 to 1986. After she left, comedians including George Carlin and Gary Shandling rotated through the chair. Jay Leno became the main guest host in 1987. Mondays eventually belonged to Leno, while Tuesdays often showed older Carson episodes. Even with fewer appearances, the show stayed powerful, and Johnny still stayed ahead of every late-night rival. Yet he repeatedly refused movie offers. He turned down leading roles in The Thomas Crown Affair and Blazing Saddles. Martin Scorsese also wanted him opposite Robert De Niro in The King of Comedy. But Johnny declined, and Jerry Lewis took the part. His power came from the desk, and he understood that. On his 25th Tonight Show anniversary, he received a personal Peabody Award. The board called him an American institution, a household name, and one of the country's most quoted figures. Still, fame carried a strange cost. Millions believed they knew him, while people nearby often met a much quieter man. The brighter the studio lights became, the more carefully Johnny guarded life beyond them. To understand that damage, we have to return to 1949, before Johnny became late night's king. The marriage that exposed Johnny's darkest side. Johnny married Joan Jody Merrill Wolcott on October 3, 1949, after they met at the University of Nebraska. She belonged to the Pi Beta Phi sorority. They had 3 sons, Christopher, born in 1950, Richard, known as Ricky, born in 1951, and Barry William, known as Corey, born in 1953. The family grew while Johnny moved from broadcasting toward national fame, but the marriage became unstable. Both partners were unfaithful, and their arguments could be fierce. The 2024 biography Carson the Magnificent described drunken fights in front of friends, followed by long periods of anger, shame, or silence. According to the book, Jody sometimes flirted openly with other men and pushed Johnny's jealousy. Alcohol made everything worse. Co-author Mike Thomas said drinking could turn Johnny into a demon and change his mood with little warning. The biography claimed there were times when Jody was physically bruised during those episodes. The book said Johnny woke deeply ashamed of what had happened. These claims showed a side of him that never appeared during the smooth monologues viewers loved. The authors also connected his troubled relationships with women to his mother, Ruth. Thomas described her as emotionally distant and said she rarely showed pride in him. Whether that explains his later choices or not, his home life was breaking apart as his career reached its turning point. Johnny became host of The Tonight Show in October 1962. 7 months later, in May 1963, his 14-year marriage ended in divorce. As America welcomed him into its living rooms, his household was falling apart. Years later, Johnny admitted the show had received the energy his marriages did not. "If I had given as much to marriage as I gave to The Tonight Show," he said, "I'd probably have a hell of a marriage." It sounded like a joke, but it also carried regret. Jody knew him before fame, before the desk, before America crowned him its own late-night royalty. Their marriage revealed a pattern in his private life. Work gave Johnny control, while intimacy often brought anger, fear, and escape. His next marriage began almost immediately, and it would expose deeper cracks. A hidden apartment, a gun, and a broken marriage. On August 17, 1963, months after his first divorce, Johnny married model and television host Joanne Copeland. They had dated in 1960. Joanne joked that she worked for CBS and did not mix with someone from daytime ABC, but they soon became close. She watched early tapes of Johnny filling in as a host and encouraged him to accept The Tonight Show. Johnny feared the job might cost him their relationship. Joanne answered, "Are you crazy? You couldn't lose me if you tried." Yet she later believed the show helped destroy their marriage. She said Johnny expected her to act as a bridge between him and his staff, leaving her to carry tension. Drinking created a problem. In Carson the Magnificent, Joanne called it a nightmare. She said, "I was married to 2 different people," and described a man who could become furious, suffer blackouts, and return home at 3 in the morning to pull sheets from the bed because she was sleeping while he worked. By morning, he would apologize and say he could not understand what came over him. The couple separated several times and Joanne sought a therapist, but the damage continued. In 1970, Johnny suspected she was having an affair with football star Frank Gifford. According to Henry Bushkin's 2013 account, Johnny gathered Bushkin, a private investigator, a lockpicker, and a photographer to enter Joanne's secret New York apartment. Johnny wore sunglasses, but the doorman recognized him. After money changed hands, the group entered and found evidence confirming his fears. Bushkin said Johnny leaned against a wall and cried. His coat opened, revealing a .38 revolver in a holster. Later, drunk in a bar, Johnny asked what Gifford had that he did not. He admitted his own drinking and affairs. The next day, he remembered little and warned Bushkin never to repeat their conversation. Johnny and Joanne divorced in 1972 after a long legal fight. She received nearly $500,000, annual support, and art. Johnny joked that she left him with a hassock and a hairnet, but before their divorce was final, another woman had already stepped into his life. Johnny's most expensive marriage fell apart. While his divorce from Joanne Copeland continued, Johnny noticed model Joanna Holland at New York's 21 Club in 1971. She was 40, divorced, and raising her son, Tim. Johnny later said he had been flirting like a sophomore. Through designer Molly Parnas, he arranged for Joanna to receive his call. Their first date also celebrated his 46th birthday. Afterward, he reportedly called her every day at 4:30 for a year. When The Tonight Show moved to Burbank in 1972, Joanna did not want to leave New York. She recalled Johnny telling her that she and Tim were coming to California and they would marry. He bought a Bel Air mansion once owned by Mervyn LeRoy. On September 30th, 1972, during the show's 10th anniversary party, Johnny shocked friends by announcing that he and Joanna had secretly married that afternoon in Santa Monica. She introduced him to travel in Western Europe, where he enjoyed being less recognized. They visited Antibes, Biarritz, Monte Carlo, St. Moritz, and Wimbledon. At home, they held dinners and screenings, but Joanna stayed apart from his career. "I don't have that much to say about Johnny's work," she said. "It's not my place." She did speak about his drinking. In a 1979 interview with 60 Minutes, Johnny admitted alcohol did not make him warm or friendly. It sent him in the opposite direction and could change him instantly. The couple separated in November 1982, reportedly because of his infidelity, and Joanna filed for divorce in March 1983. Their case ended in August 1985 with an 80-page settlement. She received $20 million in assets and cash, including the Bel Air home, 3 Manhattan properties, cars, and monthly payments. Johnny turned the cost into monologue material. He joked, "My giving advice on marriage is like the captain of the Titanic giving lessons on navigation." Other dating stories added to his reputation. Sally Field later said being with Johnny felt like the octopus and the reluctant little guppy. Unable to say she was not interested, she claimed she escaped by pretending to have a mental breakdown. His charm worked publicly, but true closeness often made him retreat. America knew the host, but not the man. Off camera, Johnny was unlike his confident television image. He avoided most parties and became known as the most private public man who ever lived. Dick Cavett said Johnny seemed deeply uncomfortable socially. Writer George Axelrod made the point more sharply. He said Johnny did not exist socially because living rooms had no television cameras. If people had red lights in their foreheads, Axelrod joked, Johnny would be the greatest conversationalist on earth. Musician John Oates described the same switch. Before airtime, Johnny was quiet. Once the countdown reached 3, 2, 1, the lights came on, and he became Johnny Carson. When the program cut to a commercial, that energy vanished again. His privacy was deliberate. He refused to discuss his childhood, relationships, politics, or personal feelings in interviews. Sometimes he gave journalists prepared answers and told them to create their own questions. Those answers included, "Yes, I did," "Not a bit of truth in that rumor," and "No, kumquats." His political opinions also stayed off the air. Johnny opposed the Vietnam War and capital punishment. He supported racial equality and did not believe extramarital sex or pornography should be crimes. He favored looser abortion and divorce laws, yet said taking positions on television could hurt him as an entertainer. He rarely invited political figures because he did not want The Tonight Show to become a political platform. Former lawyer Henry Bushkin described him as a Republican closer to the Eisenhower style than later party politics. Bushkin said Johnny opposed anything too big, whether government, money, bullies, or loud men full of themselves. Still, Johnny served as master of ceremonies for Ronald Reagan's inaugural gala in 1981 after Frank Sinatra asked him. Religion remained private too. He had been raised Methodist and attended Christian Endeavor meetings in high school, but was not a churchgoer as an adult. Every part of Johnny's life seemed divided between the image and the man. The host could talk to anyone. The private person often chose silence. Silence did not mean Johnny lacked strong opinions, and when a joke crossed the wrong line, his polished calm could quickly become something much colder. Jokes that escaped his control. Johnny's humor looked effortless, but moments showed how much power one joke carried. In 1973, he told viewers there was a toilet paper shortage. The line was comedy, yet people believed him. Shoppers rushed into stores and bought huge amounts, emptying shelves and creating the shortage he had joked about. Stores and manufacturers rationed supplies until the panic ended. Johnny apologized the next month. The incident became a lesson in how quickly a rumor can spread when it comes from a trusted public figure. He also learned that parody could hit harder than expected. After making fun of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, Fred Rogers said he enjoyed humor, but worried the imitation made him look weak and reduced serious work to a joke. Johnny later apologized. Other targets were less forgiving. Raymond Burr disliked repeated jokes about his weight and appeared on The Tonight Show only twice. Johnny also sued a portable toilet company that wanted to name its product, Here's Johnny. Back in 1969, he attacked the New York Times on air after it reported he earned $75,000 weekly. He called the article unfair and refused to reveal his salary. The paper later admitted its reporter had made an error. Johnny's old interest in magic created one of his most famous tests. In 1973, self-described psychic Uri Geller appeared on the show. Johnny doubted his claimed powers and asked skeptic James Randi to help staff prepare objects Geller could not secretly handle beforehand. Instead of a normal interview, Geller was asked to perform with those items. Nothing worked. He said, "I don't feel strong," and later called the 22 minutes humiliating. He returned to his hotel believing his career was finished. The opposite happened. Other shows booked him, and the failure made some viewers believe his powers were genuine. Geller later said, "That Johnny Carson show made Uri Geller." Even a planned debunking had escaped Johnny's control. A joke could empty stores, a parody could hurt a television neighbor, and an attempted exposure could build the celebrity he meant to question. Yet his longest conflicts were not accidents. They began when Johnny decided someone had crossed him. Cross Johnny Carson once, and you were finished. Johnny valued loyalty, and people who disappointed him could disappear from his world. Joan Rivers became his permanent guest host, but in 1986, she accepted a Fox program that directly challenged The Tonight Show. Johnny saw it as betrayal. Rivers later said he refused to speak to her again, even after she tried to apologize. John Davidson angered him by hosting a competing show. The book Love Johnny Carson reported that a Tonight Show ban list existed. Ellen DeGeneres ignored a warning about a joke. William Shatner broke show rules, including turning away from Johnny and mentioning ABC. Carl Sagan corrected him while discussing Halley's Comet. Dana Carvey crossed a line with a Saturday Night Live parody. Orson Welles, Jerry Lewis, Steve Allen, Rich Little, Burt Reynolds, and others were also linked to the list. Wayne Newton faced Johnny. In 1980, Johnny backed out of a plan to buy the Aladdin Hotel and Casino. A group led by Newton bought it. After reports made Johnny look as though he had lost the deal, he began joking about Newton on air. Newton later called him a mean-spirited human being and said Johnny hurt people the public never knew about. He entered Johnny's office and threatened to beat him unless the jokes stopped. Tom Snyder, whose Tomorrow Show followed Johnny on NBC, also became a target. Johnny considered Snyder dull and untalented. After several glasses of wine at a Los Angeles bar, he loudly attacked Snyder, turning dislike into network tension. Alcohol brought legal trouble. On February 27, 1982, police arrested Johnny near Beverly Hills after he left an Italian restaurant with his wife. He pleaded no contest to driving with too much alcohol in his blood. A judge fined him $603, gave him 3 years of probation, ordered alcohol education, and limited his driving for 90 days. Lawyer Robert Shapiro believed they could win at trial, but Johnny wanted the attention to end. On television, he said, "I regret the incident," and promised viewers they would never see him do it again. Then came one final marriage, and a family loss no joke could ever soften. Johnny's greatest loss came before his final show. On June 20, 1987, Johnny married for the 4th and final time. Reports said Johnny met Alexis Moss on a Malibu beach. Their wedding was held quietly at his home overlooking the Pacific. Only his brother Dick, Judge William Hogaboom, and the judge's wife attended. Alexis's parents listened by speakerphone, and her father gave her away. Johnny and Alexis honeymooned in England. They traveled, and Johnny studied Swahili for trips to Africa. Producer George Schlatter said in 2005 that as much as Johnny loved The Tonight Show and jokes, the real love of his life was Alex. Their marriage stayed private until his death. A terrible family loss arrived before Johnny left television. In June 1991, his middle son, Ricky, died at 39 when his vehicle went down an embankment near Cayucos, California. Ricky had gone there to photograph the coast. When Johnny returned to The Tonight Show weeks later, he thanked viewers for their letters and showed a photograph because he did not want Ricky remembered by a driver's license picture. He then shared examples of Ricky's nature photography. During the tribute, producer Fred de Cordova signaled that the show was running too long and tried to stop Johnny. The interruption angered him so much that de Cordova was banned from the studio floor for the rest of the program's run. Johnny also said his close friend Michael Landon, who had cancer, called after Ricky died. A week later, Landon was dead too. Johnny told the audience those had not been happy weeks. Less than a year later, he left The Tonight Show. His farewell stretched across several nights in May 1992. Robin Williams and Bette Midler were his final guests, and several competing late-night programs went dark during the last hour as a mark of respect. Johnny brought his surviving sons, Christopher and Corey, onto the stage. Ricky's nature photograph appeared during the final episode's closing credits. After 30 years, Johnny stepped away at 66. NBC chose Jay Leno, though Johnny believed David Letterman was the rightful successor. The desk was gone, but Johnny showed no desire to fight publicly over what followed. Johnny Carson vanished, but never lost the spotlight. Johnny suggested during his final show that he might return if the right idea appeared. Instead, he chose complete retirement. He rarely gave interviews and declined NBC's 75th anniversary celebration in 2002. He played tennis, traveled with Alexis, reviewed Tonight Show clips for DVD collections, and published humor pieces in The New Yorker. A few appearances followed. In 1993, he voiced himself on The Simpsons, called David Letterman's program, and appeared in a Bob Hope special. His last television appearance came on Letterman's show in May 1994. Letterman teased that a person would present the top 10 list, then brought out Johnny as the band played Johnny's theme. The audience stood and cheered for 90 seconds. Johnny sat behind Letterman's desk, stayed silent, and left. He later blamed laryngitis. Even without a word, he owned the room. Johnny sometimes sent Letterman jokes for his monologue and enjoyed hearing them used. After Johnny's death, Letterman opened one broadcast with a monologue made entirely from those jokes. Health problems had narrowed Johnny's life. He smoked heavily for decades, reaching 4 packs of Pall Mall cigarettes a day. By the middle of the 1970s, he was saying, "These things are killing me." In March 1999, he suffered a heart attack and underwent quadruple bypass surgery. In September 2002, he revealed that he had emphysema, but denied he was dying. On January 23, 2005, Johnny died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Respiratory failure caused by emphysema ended his life at 79. His body was cremated and his ashes were given to Alexis. Following family wishes, no public memorial took place. He was survived by Alexis, his sons Christopher and Corey, and his brother Dick, a director. Tributes came from entertainers and President George W. Bush. The film The Aristocrats and an episode of The Simpsons were dedicated to him. A 2012 PBS documentary, Johnny Carson, King of Late Night, examined his life through family, friends, comedians, and protégés. A park across from the former NBC studios in Burbank was named for him, keeping his name beside the place where his late-night reign became television history. Did Johnny Carson's private life change the way you see the man behind that famous smile? And was he simply guarded, or did fame bring out a colder side he could never fully hide?